Hello everyone, SirMonkeySuit Zappy here, back again with Fate Unlimited Blade Works. We're on episode 3, and in the last episode it was basically just a roughly the same as what the prologue was, but it was showing Shiro's perspective as opposed to Rin's, and it basically gave us the answers as to why Saber was summoned to him and what had happened during that day. So obviously, by Rin giving him the pendant, it healed him back to full health. So he went back to his home, whatever. Lance had followed him to finish the job, essentially, and he hated the idea that he would die, like after being given life, essentially. Basically, you know what I mean, given a sort of like a pass. He did not want to die, and that was essentially his reasoning for being chosen to be put into the Holy Grail War, I'm imagining, because they do have to have like some sort of goal, right? Like there needs to be some real concrete reason as to why they're in there, and that was his. So yeah, with Saber being the only one left, she was summoned, and she fought with Lancer, but she dodged Gaia Bolg, Lancer's noble phantasm, which essentially is it's a nuts fucking noble phantasm. Somebody basically mentioned the way that it works is it definitely hit them. Like, it's supposed to definitely hit. Like, there's no way that, like, you know what I mean, it can be dodged. But the only reason why Saber did manage to dodge it was due to her sort of this luck skill that she has, because obviously there's a bunch of different like hidden stats and whatever for like the different servants and whatnot. But yeah, that's basically what happened. So we still don't know who the master is of Lancer. I don't know why, but something is telling me it's the student council president, Issei. So we'll see if that's the case. But yeah, I don't think there's anything else to talk about. So we're going to get in episode 3 and see what we get. So without further ado, let's go. Okay, episode 3. Fuck. So alright, Ilya is a master then. Right then. So she's still got to be the one that's holding the fucking oh, well, actually, you know what? I guess it's not confirmed that she is a master. Because if we're looking at this from like a different perspective, we had a different perspective in Zero, where it was like we knew from the very beginning that that's what was happening. Whereas in this one, we're already in Fuyuki City or wherever it is, and we haven't been over to the Einsburn Castle yet to see what's going on. So if it's being taken from a different perspective, there may be a mage out in the world, like, you know, similar to what Kiritsugu was doing in Zero. So we don't know then for certain, but we do know that they've got Berserker though. Oh shit. He looks like a fucking beast. He looks similar to like what Lancelot did, but like I feel like it's not going to be Lancelot again, right? Because I feel like he, at the end of the last one, it was a kind of thing where Lancelot sort of overcome the sort of evil that he had within him. Because the way obviously the way that Berserker worked was entirely like that. It was like evil nature. It was like the worst of someone, right? So it was the worst of Lancelot that essentially took hold of that, of Berserker and that in Zero. And I think to sort of, I'm guessing the reason why like the servants look similar, but that, you know, they're different heroes and stuff like that, is just to generally so you can keep track of who's who. I'm guessing that's the reason for it, like, you know, because aside from Saber, Archer looks, he doesn't look the same, but he looks fairly similar. Lancer looks pretty much, you know, the same as what Lancer was in Zero as well. And then here Berserker does as well. So there we go then. So we've got we just need Rider, Caster, and Assassin left, right? Those are the ones left. Right, so from the beginning, we had Rin, who obviously came like, you know, over to, like, and basically went inside Shiro's house. Was basically surprised that Shiro never bragged about dodging Lancer or fending him off or anything like that, which obviously in the last episode I was like, how the fuck has he managed that? Like, how is he dodging this guy? But he managed to do it, and he never bragged about it. Interestingly, right, she's picking up on that, so immediately I'm like, you know, and of course with like the rest of the episode, there's those hints again. If it's going to end up being a love triangle, then it's going to be a bit of a interesting one, considering the two love interests are going to be Rin and Sakura, who are sisters. So great as that. Yeah, they mentioned stigmata, which is the name for basically the crest. That's what they're referring it to. They also mentioned the fact that because the servants themselves take mana and whatnot from the master, then depending on how good of a master or like a mage the master is, depends on how strong they are. I think it's like not just a case of like, oh, she doesn't, like, because she needs more mana to essentially work with, like depending on what she's doing. Like to have access to more mana is obviously a good thing, but yeah, that's tough, because she didn't particularly have a hard time like in Zero, but I feel like there wasn't a fight that she had that I ever felt like she could sort of lose. I feel like because it's sort of like the way it was presented in Zero, it's almost like they had like, and mainly just due to who fought who, like there was never like a clear indicator like who would win in a one-on-one fight between any of them, other than Gilgamesh, I'd imagine, because he's just ridiculous. But so yeah, I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter trying to take what the, like, how strong she was in Zero and relating it to this, because she's up against different like heroes and stuff. So I guess it doesn't really matter as much trying to take information from back then regarding that. But yeah, regardless though, because she's with a novice mage, it's going to be tough for him, I'd imagine. But we'll just have to wait and see. Yeah, right. Shiro, how the fuck does he have the pendant? I don't understand. Because if I remember correctly, in the prologue, Archer gave her back the pendant after she left it with Shiro, right? And he basically said, yeah, don't leave it lying around. And then after that scene, they went to Shiro's place, right? Where basically Saber and Archer fought a little bit. But then in the timeline, in this episode, that was after what had just happened, right? He put the fucking pendant away. How does he have the pendant if Archer had it as well? I'm not going crazy, am I? I feel like that happened. I feel like in the prologue, Archer, like after Rin gave Shiro the pendant for him to heal, at the end of that episode, or towards the end, Archer like gave it to Rin and said, you know, you left this somewhere or something, don't leave it next time, or something like that. I'm sure I'm not going mental, but you guys will have to tell me if I am or not, because I feel like that's right, but I don't know. So Shiro, Rin, and like, yeah, Shiro and Rin went to talk to Kirei, which was great. He's got longer hair now, so he's growing out like the kind of the mullet. I guess that's the only haircut I can really describe what his hair's like right now. And we're basically going through the sort of the rules of the Grail and what it is and the war and stuff like that, which we already know a lot of it. But there was something that I don't think they touched on in Zero, which is that only servants can touch it, because I guess they were literally born from it. Like the Holy Grail is the only only magical source known to, like, that can actually create these servants. So therefore, because they're like summoned from it, essentially, they can touch it, but masters can't. I don't know if it was a subtitle error, but they were talking about, like, they talked about, yeah, only servants may touch the Grail, because they were talking about, like, if a master dies, then the servant dies along with, right? And then they said what the opposite was, that if a servant was to die, then that basically means that it's pointless, right? Because if only a servant can touch the Grail. And then I thought they were going to go into something completely different, but they changed it up. Kyrie started going on about, like, how if a master's killed again, as opposed to saying, like, what if just the servant's killed? Because I thought they were going to go into something like, maybe, like, if it was the opposite and a servant died but the master was still alive, as long as he had command spells, he would be able to touch it. But they never said that. Because Kyrie just said, oh no, it's like if the master dies, then the servant is able to, you know, go with some like another master, essentially. But yeah, so yeah, I don't know if it's out, like, if the jury's out on that, if a master still has command spells or a stigmata, then he's able to touch it. I guess maybe, we don't know. Yeah, another thing. He was talking about how, or Shiro asked if anyone had actually won it, and one person did, and he managed to hold the Grail, but it didn't complete. And that was based around the fact that because there was still a master alive, I'm guessing, which I imagine that's the reason why in Zero, in Zero, Kiritsugu was like, it was a, like, he had a change of heart, right? He changed it because he felt like, well, basically the Holy Grail told him that, or the spirit inside the Holy Grail, or whatever, basically told him that the only way to stop all war and famine is basically to keep killing until there is literally nobody left, because it's in human nature for that to happen. So the only way to get rid of it is to get rid of humans, so it just wouldn't work. But even if there was a way, does that confirm the idea that it, like, even if he went to have that wish granted, it would never work anyway, because Waver was still alive, and also Kyrie was still... Well, no, Kyrie got brought back... he got brought back because the Holy Grail decided that's what would happen. Because of the thing that went with, like, that happened with Gilgamesh and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, even Waver was still alive, so I guess it probably wouldn't have gone through anyway, judging by what they were saying. Yeah, and then after they talked or whatever, Shiro decided to you know, to stay the length, stay inside this war, stay a member, essentially, stay a master. And Kira mentioned, like, a hero of justice when he was out, so I can only assume that. Because the first thing he did mention when he came out was, like, your wish will come true, whatever, right? So I can only assume that since he's the mediator, Shiro probably told him what his wish was, and that was his reason for you know, for staying in there, and that's the reason why he mentioned it. Because other than that, I would be very, like, I would be very surprised if he just, you know, if he said that, no, like, without knowing, without being told. Well, yeah. Also, surprisingly, the way Kirei is, I am surprised that he didn't mention Kiritsugu. Though that would, I feel like he would have. If no, he should know, because he's taking Kiritsugu's last name. He's Emiya, right? Kirei even noticed that. So I'm surprised that Kiria never even mentioned, like, the person who was responsible for that shit breaking out was Kiritsugu, and he would just be able to cause chaos that way, because that's what fucking Kiria's all about. He loves that shit, right? And especially doing it to Kiritsugu, he would love to do that. So I'm surprised he didn't, though I feel like he's gonna have more to play in this anyway, so we'll see anyway. There should be some time where Shiro goes to talk to Kiritsugu. I hope so anyway. Yeah. We had Rin, who Archer basically said, "Oh, you're taking pity on Shiro," essentially, because he's basically been thrust into this without really wanting to, and he's sort of like a novice. I mean, here's the thing: they're fucked. They're basically fucked in a way, because they're fighting people that they know. Like, I made this point in like another episode of, I think it must have been last episode, but like, it's so different from Zero because nobody knew each other. They didn't know each other. Or if they did, like, they weren't on any real like friendly terms. Like in this, they're in high school, and they're basically high school friends. So great. It's going to be a lot. It's going to go a lot differently, I think. But we'll have to wait and see. Yeah, but they all mentioned that all masters must be slain to get a wish. So, but then again, like, I feel like there's not really any concrete, like, there's not like a fucking like a Bible that mentions all of these like opposed rules. Like, you're supposed to get the rules from the mediator, and I'm guessing he's sort of, I don't know, maybe if he's the mediator, then he is forced to enforce the rules and tell them as they are, as opposed to like fucking around and lying and shit. So I guess maybe he's sort of held to that regard. But I feel like, because what happened in Zero, sort of, there was a few things that were thrown around that they were almost like not concrete. Like, it feels like different people had different assumptions about how the Holy Grail War worked. So, you know, there can be like misinformation out there, and I'm just wondering if Kiria was like, you know, continuing that on kind of thing. But if he's the mediator, then maybe not. So yeah. But yeah, I think that is all. So yeah, that's it. So thank you everyone for watching. In the description below, I have links to certain things. Discord, get yourself over there. Come join us. I'm over there, as long as, and my community is as well. SirMonkeySuit.com, all my content is over there, so go over there and become a member. And Patreon. So I do have a Patreon. If you don't want to support me, that would be very much appreciated. There's a bunch of different tiers and rewards depending on how much you want to support me with. So there's early access, $5 a month. You get shows a week early, and 4 episodes of Fate every week. Full length, $10 a month. That gives you access to my full length library. Every hour to gets a full length. $15, that's the exclusive tier, so that gives you access to a bonus show, which I'm currently reacting to, which will be 7 Deadly Sins. So if you're interested in that, go over there and become an exclusive tier patron. $50, that's the elite tier, gives you a choice of a show that you want me to react to, and I will react to it. It'll go to the back of the list, behind about 7 shows. Might take a while to get round to it, but I will do eventually. But if you don't want to wait that long and you want to get your show reacted to next and as quick as possible, and you want to get gold tier, which is $100. But that's it. So thank you for watching. I'll see you all next time. Bye bye.